Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to Who'd Win and Why. And this time we got Deathstroke going up against Shredder. Now, both of these characters are masters of combat and masters of strategy, but who would be victorious in a one-on-one battle to the death? Well, I'm here to give my opinion on the matter. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out. So first I'm going to talk about Deathstroke. Now, I've gone over Deathstroke a few times earlier in this series. In fact, earlier in this season, he fought Raiden, so I recently went over him. So I'm going to try to be a bit more brief this time around. So when it comes to Deathstroke, obviously he got his own version of the Super Soldier Serum, which is essentially like a truth serum gone horribly wrong. So he has nearly superhuman strength, speed, agility, and endurance. So he's not quite superhuman, he's not to the level of Spider-Man or anyone like that, but he can push himself longer than even the finest Olympic athlete, which is pretty dang strong if you ask me. When it comes to his, his fighting, obviously, he's mastered a ton of different martial arts over the years. He's one of the greatest fighters in the DC universe. He's fought Batman before many times and even beaten him, and he's fought Ra's al Ghul before as well, and other masters of combat over the years. Obviously, he's a very good fighter. If he's beaten Batman, someone who's mastered like 100, no, more than that, like all the martial arts, like on the planet in the DC universe, if you've actually beaten that guy, you are definitely not lacking when it comes to martial art ability. Definitely not, fighting ability. You're definitely not lacking in that area. So obviously there's that. Another thing that I just forgot to mention was his healing factor. Now, this obviously adds on to his endurance side of things. So obviously he has his healing factor. It's not to the level of like Deadpool's or anything like that. It obviously doesn't make him immortal or anything like that, but it can repair any part of his body, and it does make him extremely hard to kill, and it can allow him to keep going and keep fighting for longer than a regular person generally should be able to. When it comes to his armor, Deathstroke has an armor which is made up of 3 different metals, one of which being Kevlar, another which being Nth metal, which is a fictional metal stronger and lighter than titanium, because what universe doesn't have that, and the third one being Promethium, which is also incredibly strong, but the main property about it is it's self-regenerative. If you end up cutting it open, it can actually like close back together, which means not only does Deathstroke himself have a healing factor, but so does his armor, which is really cool, and it makes him really hard to kill, even if you can cut through the armor. It's definitely not weak, it's definitely not indestructible, but it's definitely not weak, so you're gonna have a hard time getting through it. When it comes to his weapons, he has a ton of different weapons. He has dual machine guns, he has a sniper rifle, he has different types of guns, like pistols and stuff like that. He also has a bow staff, he has an energy shooting lance, he has flashbangs with traces of kryptonite, and while obviously he's not fighting a Kryptonian in this battle, he does obviously, a flashbang is still a flashbang, it's still something that can blind an opponent just by using it. And other weapons, including a sword. Now obviously this sword is what he uses generally when he's fighting someone up close, although he has been shown switching between a sword and then a gun quickly and going back to the sword, so he is highly proficient with all of these weapons and can switch between them very quickly, which actually leads me into my next point about Deathstroke, which is his brain power, or his intellect. He's been said to have he can use 90% of his brain power daily on average, which is actually very impressive considering that a regular person can only use 10% of their brain power on average every day. So when you compare him to a regular person, he can perceive events 9 times more efficiently than a regular person. This heightens up some of his senses, including his sight and his hearing. It allows him to react quicker overall, even to the point where he can dodge bullets, and it allows him to predict his opponent's next moves quicker. And obviously, being a master of combat, he can obviously already do that already, but the Super Soldier Serum allowed him to basically go mentally beyond that, extremely. So yeah, he's also been said to be one of the greatest tacticians on the planet, if not the greatest tactician, and like I said, he's fought a ton of different characters. He's fought, Batman, Ra's al Ghul, the Teen Titans, and even members of the Justice League, like the powerful ones, including Superman and Flash. However, it is worth noting that when he's fighting these types of characters, he needs a lot of prep time. Yes, actually fighting them at all, to any degree is very impressive, considering that they can move, extremely quickly, but even so, he does need a lot of prep time when fighting someone, way out of his league. Another thing that's worth noting is that when he's in extreme pain, he is subject to violent outbursts of rage, which essentially negates any of his strategic prowess from the equation, meaning he'll mostly just go in swinging and, not really thinking about it, which is obviously not Deathstroke at his best. But the point is, he's extremely strong, he has a lot of weapons, he's extremely smart, and he's extremely proficient when it comes to his fighting ability. So, within the DC universe and, outside of the DC universe, it is clear that there are few that can stand up to the expertise and fighting ability of Slade Joseph Wilson. Okay, so that was Deathstroke. Like I said, I was going to go a bit quicker with him this time around. I'm sure most of you guys know a lot about him already. But now let's move on to Shredder, or as his real name, I believe it's pronounced Oroku Saki. I believe that's how you pronounce it. If someone has a better pronunciation and they can somehow tell me what it is in the comments, tell me down below. But I'm just going to call him Oroku Saki, or maybe just Saki, or I might just stick with Shredder. But anyway, so yeah, that's who Shredder is. So let's get into what he can do. So Shredder has peak physical condition, strength, speed, agility, and endurance, which makes sense. I mean, if you've been training for as long as you have been, like a decade and a half, I believe, if not longer, and if you're fighting like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like giant turtles that are most likely stronger than you, you're gonna build up some muscle over time. So yeah, peak physical condition, I wouldn't put him as anything less than that. So yeah, that's where he is when it comes to the physical side of things. When it comes to his fighting ability, he is mastered ninjutsu. That's the main martial art that he's mastered, obviously, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that's the main focus of how they fight. But he has actually learned a variety of other martial arts over the years, and that makes him more versatile. I'm not sure how many of these martial arts he's mastered, I'm not sure how many martial arts he's actually learned, but the point is, no matter what it is, he's now a more versatile fighter, which never hurts. If he feels that he needs to switch up his martial art for whatever reason, obviously he can, and probably some of them he's mastered. So, ninjutsu is not his default, okay, it might be his default, but it's not the only thing he relies on, which again makes him a more versatile fighter, which obviously, never hurts. When it comes to his armor, now his armor, I believe that he generally wears, it does have razor blades all around it, which obviously is good when it comes to up close and personal combat. But the main thing is that I do believe that the armor has changed. I believe it has changed over the course of the years. It's not always the same material. I might be getting this a bit wrong, but I don't believe it's always the same material. Although I don't believe it's indestructible. However, it has been known to take a lot of punishment, whether it's up close and personal or it's long range, projectiles. It can take a lot of punishment and really protect Shredder and allow him to keep going, not really hurting him that much. His helmet, however, has actually been stated by Saki himself that it has never been broken once, which is very impressive, and that probably means that it's made of something more durable than his suit, especially considering that he specifically said that his helmet has never been broken rather than saying that his whole suit has never been broken. But that's good because that protects his head area. I don't believe it would protect from decapitation, because I do believe in one of the cartoon movies or cartoon shows Leonardo did actually once decapitate him. I might be getting it wrong, I'm not sure. I think that was the real Shredder. I didn't really watch that episode, I just saw the clip. So if any of you can prove me wrong on that, or if I'm getting something about that wrong, tell me in the comments below. But regardless, I don't think it protects the neck area, so decapitation is still an option. But again, I don't believe that it would protect his chest or anything, the regular armor I don't believe is indestructible. But anyway, moving on. So yeah, that's his armor. And the mask also, the helmet, has a voice synthesizer, which makes him sound more menacing. And it can also project red glowing eyes, which also makes him more menacing. So yeah, making him a more menacing fighter. Sorry about that. When it comes to his weapons, like I said, his outfit is outlined with razor blades all around, which is really good, again, for up close and personal combat. He also has a sword that he carries around, again, up close and personal. He is very skilled with the sword. Technically, he has been said that he's adept with any ninja-like weapon he can get his hands on. And while he doesn't carry every single ninja-like weapon, I just thought it'd be cool to tell you guys. And it does mean that all the weapons he carries, he's very proficient with. He also, I think the main weapons that he uses are his two blade-like appendages, which go around his wrists. Again, more so for up close and personal combat. That's, I believe, where Shredder really excels, because, he's a good fighter, but he also has a lot of, razor blades and, like, up close and personal combat weapons. When it comes to the projectiles, he doesn't have a lot. He does have a lot of shurikens or throwing stars, and he has some smoke pellets, but again, mainly he likes to fight up close and personal, and he's definitely prepared to do it with his armor and his helmet and his weapons that he carries with him. He's obviously, very prepared to do it. And that's where he is with the weapon side of things. When it comes to his intelligence, he has studied the art of war. He is a great tactician, a great strategist, and he's smart enough to, like, outsmart the Ninja Turtles. They're not, like, particularly, like, geniuses, or, well, Donatello is, but they're not particularly geniuses, but even so, he is extremely smart. He has been, he's outsmarted a ton of people before, like even Splinter. He's fought and defeated Splinter many times, actually, and, including the Ninja Turtles. He's fought all 4 Ninja Turtles at once, and I believe even beaten them, like, when he's fighting them all at once, which is very impressive if you ask me. Ninja Turtles, you must be very strong and very proficient when it comes to your weapons and your fighting ability to be able to do that. So, needless to say, Shredder has a lot of good feats behind him, or, with him. But anyway, so yeah, that's where Shredder is with that when it comes to his feats. Again, he might need prep time in order to take on powerful opponents, even though generally the Ninja Turtles and Splinter are who he fights more often. Other than that, he really doesn't have a lot of exploitable weaknesses. He's not really lacking in many areas. He has, peak physical condition stats. He has, like, a variety of weapons, and he's very proficient with these weapons. Like, his armor is very protective. It can protect him from a lot of incoming, attacks. So yeah, he doesn't really have many exploitable weaknesses. And, if you do have something up your sleeve, you better use it, because, Shredder, like I said, not lacking in anything. He is definitely a force to be reckoned with. Okay, so now that we've gone over these 2 characters, now it's time for me to give my input of who I think would win. So if you do believe that the other person will win, again, like, the who would win and why, the title might be a bit misleading, because it is just my opinion. If you believe otherwise, you can tell me in the comments below, obviously. But, when you look at these 2 characters, it might be a bit hard to tell who would win, because neither of these characters are really lacking in any area, which makes these 2 characters extremely, fun to read about, fun to, they're cool characters. Because they're both really strong. Physically, they're both extremely, high up there, when you compare them to regular people. And they both have a lot of weapons. They both have good armors, and they're both good fighters and good strategists. So they're not really lacking in any areas, which makes these 2 characters really awesome. They're badasses. But if I had to pick who I believe would win, after laying everything out, I do believe, I do feel very confident in my answer. I don't want to say I know who would win, because I don't, but I do feel very confident in my answer, and I personally believe that Deathstroke could win this fight. And if you believe that Shredder will win this fight, that's great. I don't know a ton about Shredder, and I don't know everything about Deathstroke either, so you can tell me in the comments below if I missed anything, or if I'm missing something crucial, or if I'm getting something wrong, something like that. You can tell me that in the comments below. But before you do that, let me explain why I believe that Deathstroke would win in a one-on-one battle to the death against Shredder without any prep. First of all, I'm going to talk about their fighting ability, which might be the most important factor in this fight. Both of them are really good fighters. They fought Masters of Combat in their own universes. Shredder has fought, the Ninja Turtles and Splinter and has beaten them, and, Deathstroke has fought Batman and Ra's al Ghul. So they have fought, a lot of different Masters of Combat in their own universes, and they've beaten them. So, they are very good when it comes to their fighting ability. However, it has been said that specifically Shredder has mastered ninjutsu and has learned a variety of different martial arts. Now, again, I'm not sure how many more martial arts it is, and I'm not sure when they say learned, do they really mean master all of them? I personally don't believe so, but even if I was to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's mastered a lot more martial arts, I do not believe that it would compare much to Batman, who has mastered every single martial art on the planet. Just because Deathstroke has been able to stand up to Batman multiple times and beat him multiple times, I just feel that really puts him high up when it comes to fighting ability. And personally, I do believe that he would be a better fighter than Shredder would be. Again, Shredder mostly focuses on ninjutsu and, ninjutsu-like weapons. That's where he's putting most of his focus. So when they say he learned a variety of martial arts, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have spent a ton of time, trying to master every single martial art he can get his hands on. However, Deathstroke, the super soldier serum and also just his training, that puts him really high up in the DC universe when it comes to fighting ability. And I do personally believe that, being able to stand up to Batman, being able to beat Batman, I do believe that would make him a better fighter than Shredder. But if I'm missing something that Shredder did that's like way out of this world, you can tell me in the comments below, but that's just my opinion there. Another big thing that I want to mention up is their physical stats. Yes, Shredder has peak physical condition under his belt. When you compare him to a regular person, he's extremely strong and fast and agile. However, when you compare him to Deathstroke, he's a super soldier. And again, to put that into perspective, a super soldier is essentially past peak physical condition. It's past where a regular person should be able to get. It's like, almost superhuman. And, peak physical condition, the body type, that's where the body type would get, if you keep training, like, forever, that's where, like, peak physical condition, it's like the highest a person can possibly get. However, super soldier is essentially beyond that. It's beyond peak physical condition. It's nearly superhuman. So, again, when you compare those two things together, I just feel that, when you compare all the physical stats, Deathstroke just has the upper hand there. So yeah, that's where I am with physical stats as well, just like, I just feel that he'd be better when it comes to strength and speed and endurance, especially with the healing factor. That's another thing. I don't believe that Shredder has any form of supernatural healing or anything that would really increase his stamina by that much. However, Deathstroke, his healing factor, while it's not Deadpool's level, is still very good. And we didn't even get into the armor part yet with that healing factor. But that actually leads me into my next point, which is the equipment. When it comes to the armor, it's actually really hard to tell who has the better armor, because like I said, Shredder's armor can take a lot of punishment, and his helmet, has been stated to be never been broken before. And Deathstroke's armor, I wouldn't say it's indestructible. It can obviously be cut through, but it does have the healing factor Prometheum. It does have the healing factor, property. So obviously there's that. I don't really think there's a clear-cut winner when it comes to the armors that these two characters have, because they have their advantages and they have their disadvantages. Obviously, Deathstroke's armor can self-regenerate, and, Shredder's armor has, the indestructible helmet. At least, it's indestructible so far. I honestly am not sure if Deathstroke would be able to cut through the helmet. But anyway, so yeah, that's where I am with that. But the main reason why I say that Deathstroke would trump Shredder when it comes to equipment is mainly just the weapons, especially the long-ranged weapons. Not only does it seem like Deathstroke has a tiny bit more versatility when it comes to the weapons, like the sword, the guns, the bow staff, the energy shooting lance, the flashbangs, everything like that. Not only do I feel he might be a bit more versatile than Shredder, just by a tiny bit, but I also feel when it comes to the long-ranged weaponry, I feel that Deathstroke is much better off, and let me tell you why. Deathstroke, being, the smarts, the enhanced mental capacity that he has allows him to react much quicker than a regular person, and it gets to the point where he can dodge bullets. And remember, bullets travel faster than the speed of sound, even just regular bullets, which is 340 meters per second or 761 miles per hour. That is ridiculous. That's like more than 12 times a speeding car on the highway, just to put that into perspective. So yeah, that's very impressive if you're able to do that, if you're able to dodge bullets. And let's face it, because he's a mercenary, like an assassin for hire, he's probably faced a lot of bullets and dodged a lot of bullets over the years. But where am I going with this? Basically I feel that Shredder's long-range weapons don't really stack up to bullets. You can basically call Shredder how strong you want. You can say, I guess you can say that he's a super soldier. I don't think he's a super soldier. But even with the strength that he has, I do not believe that him throwing the shurikens or anything like that would compare to something as quick as bullets. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like they're also similar to batarangs, which is something that Deathstroke has encountered many times before. But the point is, just if he can dodge bullets, I don't see him having any trouble getting past the long-range weapons that Shredder has. On the flip side of the coin, as far as I'm concerned, Shredder doesn't have a lot of experience actually trying to get around bullets. and even if the bullets wouldn't start to break through the armor at first, I do believe that, just because he has his machine gun or whatever, Shredder wouldn't be all too used to getting around, something that moves at the speed of sound. Because the weapons that the Ninja Turtles have, they don't compare to guns when it comes to the speed. So I feel when it comes to long-range weapons, Deathstroke probably has the edge there. I'd say he definitely has the edge there, just because, it's guns versus, regular shurikens. I just feel that, the shurikens is something that, that Deathstroke has seen before, and Shredder hasn't had that much experience going up against, something that moves that fast as, like, a speeding bullet. And when it comes to close range, I might have to give that advantage to Shredder, just because he has, like, a sword, and he has, like, his razor blades all around his suit, and, his appendages. Obviously Deathstroke's not helpless. He has his sword, he has his bow staff, he has, he's used to using his guns up close as well. But again, that'd be the only advantage I really see Shredder having. And the last advantage that I see that Deathstroke has, which is probably the smallest gap, is intelligence. Just the fact that Deathstroke has, can use 90% of his brain power and can predict his opponent's moves, I just feel that combined with his fighting ability gives him a huge leg up over Shredder. Just being able to react quicker, and everything like that, being able to hear better, see faster, being able to predict your opponent's moves. I just feel that slowly but surely he will start to overpower Shredder. Being able to predict your opponent's moves, like really Deadpool, as we've said, if you remember from the Death Battle, Deadpool versus Deathstroke, someone like Deadpool is, so unpredictable, he wouldn't be able to he wouldn't be able to predict his moves. But, something like, someone like Shredder, I feel that it would be more easy to predict his moves. And I just feel that, just because he seems to be a better fighter, and he can predict someone's moves who is lower on the fighting ability list than Deathstroke is, I just feel that his intelligence and his, predicting thing that he does, I just feel it's going to overpower Shredder. So overall, yes, Shredder is a badass in every sense of the way. He's not lacking in any area. He's a great fighter, he's a great strategist, he's a great pretty much everything. However, Deathstroke seems to have the advantage, the small advantage, in nearly every category. He seems to be stronger just because he's a super soldier and is physically better in every sense of the way. He seems to be the better fighter. His weapons long range seem to overall just be better, and he just seems to be smarter. So yes, overall, it would be a pretty cool fight to watch. It would be a pretty cool fight to see, but slowly but surely, just because of those small advantages, I feel that Deathstroke would slowly start to overpower Shredder, and after he starts doing that, it wouldn't be that long before he can go in for the kill. So, in my opinion, the winner is Deathstroke. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I know that I enjoyed learning about these two characters, especially Shredder, since I didn't know that much about him before. But if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, comment down below what you thought of it, comment down, do you agree, do you disagree, how do you feel about this episode. You can comment down all your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you could subscribe to my channel, guys, that'd be so great. That would really help me out. I make these videos as soon as I possibly can. And now that I'm on summer, hopefully, summer vacation, hopefully it won't be that long before I can make these episodes. I'm not really sure exactly how often I'll be able to do it. It's more so it'll be as I go. But I'm really excited to finish off the rest of this season. I hope you guys are excited for it as well. Again, hopefully it shouldn't take too long. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and in all honesty, your view is plenty of contribution, so thank you guys so much for watching. It really helps the channel out, it really helps me out, and I really do appreciate it. And next time on Who'd Win and Why, we got Sandman going up against Clayface. I'm really excited for that one. See you all then.